I love to practice, and not everybody does, and that's okay. But I wanted to share with you some tips on how to practice a little bit more efficiently. So not only can we make changes in our golf swing, but how it can actually transfer to the golf course. So I see a very common thing over and over again on driving ranges, people buying a large bucket of balls, going up to their little station and dumping that bucket of balls out, and then just hitting shot after shot after shot, same club, same target over and over and over again. And that's not really doing anything for us, okay? So here's a couple suggestions. First one, take that bucket of balls, find your station, place the bucket of balls behind you, out of your sight line even. Nothing wrong with dropping a few on the ground back here, right? But what does that do for me? Well, I've got to go over here, I've got to get one, I've got to bring it over to my station. I execute. Maybe a little more time in between shots to think about the quality of the strike. What kind of motion did you make there? Did you hit it the way you wanted to? A little bit more thought in between shots. So all of a sudden ball's gone. I can't just scrape another one, I actually have to go back over here. And it seems small, I admit, but it's just something that actually will break up the monotony and the routine of just scraping and hitting. Okay, so let's start by putting that bucket of balls behind us. Another tip, if we're going out there and we've decided that we're going to do some block practice, meaning a lot of shots, and we're really going to be working on something, always use something to help your alignment. Okay, so I've just got an alignment stick here. You can use a club that you're not going to be using. We want to place that stick on the ground, put a ball down first, and then sight line that ball to the target. And then you're going to want to place that shaft or that alignment stick parallel to that target line. So for me as a lefty, I'm putting it on the right side of the ball. Most of my players are over on this other side. Okay, so you place it over here on the left. But what we're doing is we're sight lining to our target, and then we're making sure that this stick is actually parallel left to our target. Now that does a couple things for me. Number one, when I walk into this shot, I know I'm properly aligned. I did all that hard work back there. Really easy for me to identify a target in the distance while I'm facing it. Much more difficult to the side here. So take away some doubt, know that you're lined up. And then of course, when I'm looking down here, I've got a frame of reference on, is my body parallel to my target? And I don't need this stick right on your toe line or right on the ball. It can be somewhere in between. It's just giving us a frame of reference, allowing us to actually maybe change our perception of what square or parallel or alignment actually looks like and then feels like. Because if we have a tendency to line up awkwardly, then we need to change that perception. And we need to do that on the range. And so using an alignment rod is a great way to do that. Okay, so now I've created my station, got my balls back here, I've got my alignment stick, and I'm ready to go to practice. Personally, if you are actually making changes to your golf swing, meaning, okay, there all of a sudden I'm doing this, but I want to change and maybe I want to do something like that. Well, now we're trying to actually coordinate a new motor pattern, a new motion. And if we're always going full, meaning full speed, trying to hit it as far as I can, the brain will lock on to that old pattern and you'll be doing the same thing over and over again. Really hard to make change that way. So let's smooth it out, okay? Especially when we're starting our practice session. So if I've got this pitching wedge here and I normally hit it 125, 130, maybe I'm only trying to hit it 80, okay? Really easy for me to work on a new motor pattern and a slower, smoother is a better word, and a smoother action, okay? So next, maybe rather than always grabbing that long stick, meaning that driver, or that 3-wood, or that 5-iron, maybe we choose a shorter club while we're beginning our routine. Maybe we choose a sand wedge and a pitching wedge instead of that 7-iron. So it's so much easier for us to swing a shorter shaft length than it is a longer one. And so if it's easier for us to do that, then that means it's easier for us to actually coordinate a new movement. So we've smoothed out the swing and we've shortened up the shaft. And those are two good starting points when we're really trying to make some changes. Now, how I'd like you to actually change your whole routine of practice would be, let's just kind of make quadrants or sections of golf balls, meaning maybe the first 20, I'm going through this same process like I just explained. Maybe some smoother swings, maybe some shorter clubs, so I can really work on a change that I'm trying to make. And then maybe the next 10 or 15, then maybe I start changing things up. Maybe I start adding speed to that shorter club. Maybe I start grabbing different lengths of clubs. Maybe I start actually going to different targets. And if you do that, change your stick, okay? Change your alignment rod. But let's start interleaving what we're doing with targets and what we're doing with shaft lengths, just like we would out on the golf course. Let's start changing it up while we're practicing. So that's how we're going to spend the bulk of our time in the middle of our practice session, after we've warmed up and after we've given a lot of deliberate, blocked practice to making a change. Then what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to save the last 10, 15 balls to actually going through your entire routine. So that means getting rid of the stick, right? That means bringing one ball up here at a time. That means going through your entire routine, start to finish. Getting lined up, okay? This back in here is what we call the think box, meaning I'm thinking about what I'm trying to do. I'm choosing my club, thinking about wind or target. And then once I get into this section right here, this is the play box. This means I'm committed to my target and the desired shot that I'm trying to create. So let's commit in here. Let's go ahead and execute. All right, we've already trained ourselves to be a little bit more mindful after the shot. So we're judging, did I do things well? Did I hit the shot that I wanted? Okay, and now we go back, we grab another ball. And we choose a different club, and then we go through that same routine. So I want you to end your practice that way, meaning I'm changing all the time and I'm going through my entire routine. And that sounds easy, but it's really hard to do, okay? It takes a lot of commitment. But trust me, when you start to change your practice this way, you're really gonna affect change in your golf swing, if that's what you're working on. And also, at the same time, you're gonna be relating what you're doing on the range to what we actually do in golf. And a final little tip here would be, go ahead, with those final balls, go ahead and play holes in your mind. So that means, in my mind, I'm looking out here on the range and it's like, okay, well that flag's the left side of the fairway, that flag over there is the right side of the fairway. I've got to put it down the right, down the left, in the middle, whatever you're working on, right? But grab that driver, go through your entire routine, go ahead and go up there and put some pressure on yourself. Like, oh my gosh, I've got to make this now. I've got to hit this shot, just like we do to ourselves out on the course, right? Play an entire hole. If I hit a drive and it was bad, that doesn't mean I get another one, okay? That means I have to go hit my 3-wood. If you have a section of range like we do here, put yourself in the rough and say, oh my gosh, I got to execute out of the rough. But whatever it is, change it up so you're playing an entire hole start to finish. So change up the way you practice. We make these changes, you're going to be able to make a change in your golf swing, and you're actually going to make changes when we go out and play. So good luck.